Okay, so what copy email address? Let me just go back and see. All right, so for me, this is 44.212 dot dash whatever 59.91. So let me copy this. All right, so SSH minus I and then the file, the .pem file, and then the path to the EC2 instance. Now, the first time when you do it, you probably will get a message. For me, I've already done it, so I'm already logged in. If you write who am I, it'll basically tell you what permissions you have. So currently, I'm basically a normal user, EC2-user. I highly suggest that you guys change this to the root, because you might then have to write sudo. First of all, there's no problem with sudo as well, but there will be an issue, especially when you're trying to access or write to some of the files. So if I write sudo -s, you can see that I'm now a root user, right? Basically, I'm already done with all these steps, but so maybe some of the things that you will see is showing me that it's already there and it's already done. But let's go through it. So once you're done with this step, step number 4. So step number 5 is that you can use the login.
Asad,
Yeah.
sorry, you can make the lab with this IP in green highlighted. Already it is done by mine.
It's the same thing. I mean, if you have already done it, I have already done it as well. So it's the same thing in the end.
Yes, just to let them get an idea.
No, I mean to say, is it like...
Okay, this is your IP. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if it is a free IP and no packages are installed, then I can use it. If you have installed the packages, then there's no point of shifting to this IP.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So basically you have these credentials that you will be using, okay, to log into the ELK server. This is the URL that you will go to. So in the end, basically, this is the place where you are going to see the logs, right? So we will come back to this dashboard later. Let's move on to the complex part, although it's not that complex, but still we may run into some errors. So for Apache log configuration, just go to the link below. Okay, we can skip this step for now as well. Yeah, so the next step is that you want to install this RPM package of FileBeat. Okay, so since you guys are working in the Linux, sorry, in the Linux and not in the Debian, so probably, we are more used to apt commands rather than the curl or git clone. So it's for this particular version of the Linux, you will be using the curl. So what you can do is, actually, I already have it. Let me just check if I'm in the same folder. Yeah. So I have actually downloaded it already, but I will just make another directory file just to show you guys that it's working. It's nothing special in this command. So let me just download it one more time. All right. So as you can see, the RPM package is there now, downloaded. Okay. And then you will install the package by using sudo rpm-vi FileBeat, and I have done it already, like I said, so I don't want to repeat it. Maybe it will just replicate or corrupt the files. So I will skip this step, but you will need to do this step as well to install this package. Okay, the only tricky part, which is not that tricky, is that you just need to go and modify this file. you need to make some changes once you install the package. So obviously this file will be created. If you want to check, we can go to this path and see. So etc file beat. So cd/etc file beat. And as you can see that there is already a file called filebeat.yml. So you need to open this file and modify it. Now, in the lab manual, it's written that you can use the VI editor, but I know that some students, they get stuck with the VI editor because they don't know how to write out and come out of the VI editor. Although Miss Abir, she has mentioned here somewhere that in order to save the file, you have to press escape first and then colon and WQ, and then there is an exclamation mark in the end, I think, which is not here. So, but I don't know, maybe without exclamation mark it might work as well. But if you're not comfortable with the VI editor, then I suggest that you can use Nano to, which is more easy. So let's just see, I'm using Nano filebeat.yml. So you can see here that I'm already in this directory. That's why I don't have to give the whole path of /etc/filebeat. If you are not within this directory, you have to give the whole path. I think that is understood at this point. So I'll use Nano to open this file. Now, one way to go to the point, one way to go to the point that we are looking for this particular field, that is cloud.id and cloud.auth, is that you can scroll, but scrolling may take a long time, right? So we want to search this. Now in the Nano editor, luckily this process is very easy and simple. You can just press Control W and then write the word that you're looking for. So I'm typing cloud.id, for example, and then it will take you exactly to where the cloud.id is. Now, these are just the explanation of this. You will see in your file, when you open it, it will be something like this. It will be a hash, and there will be nothing after the cloud ID. So I have already copy pasted it. What you guys need to do is in your file is that you will uncomment this, number one. Don't forget to put a space, because once I forgot to put a space, it kept giving me errors that it cannot find the colon. So it shouldn't be like this. It should be like this. Okay. Giving a space and then go back to here and then copy this whole thing starting from here till this point. Just to be on the safe side, what I usually do is I copy it in the notepad file to just if there are any unknown or unwanted spaces or anything. So I don't want to get the errors. So as you can see that it's pretty neat. So there's no problem. Just copy and paste it back into this location. Okay, so I've already done that. The second field that you need to modify is cloud.auth. So basically here you give the password. So again, go back here, copy this and put it here, right? So these are the only two changes that you have to make and then save it. Again, the save process here is for the VI editor, which you will not do if you are not using Nano editor. So if you are using Nano editor, if you want to exit and you want to save it, you can press Control X. It's actually everything is written here. Okay. So when you want to find something, where is, you press Control W. If you want to write out, you press Control O. If you want to exit, press Control X. Whether you do write out or whether you do exit is going to ask you whether you want to save it. So if I press Control X, it says that you want to save the changes. So naturally you have to press yes and then press enter. So now the changes in the YML files are done for file beat, right? So we have reached this step now. Okay, what do we have to do next? Okay, so to enable the Apache server, you need to make this command. So I'll just copy it and paste it here. You don't need to do sudo. if you're already the root user. Since I already enabled it, it says that the module Apache is already enabled. If it is not enabled, it will give you the message that it is enabled now. Another thing that you have to do is that you need to install the Apache server, web server. So it was pretty simple in the Debian. In Debian, you simply write apt-get install Apache APAC, Apache 2. But you cannot do that because it will not work. apt is not recognized in this Linux, so there's no point. I'm just saying that, in Debian, it's different. So all you have to do is yum install httpd-y. If I do that here, let's see, it says that it is already installed in the latest version. So for you guys, if you have installed it, it will give you the same message, nothing to do. But if you haven't installed it, it will take, it will be installed very quickly. So this is the step where you install the Apache web server. Okay, since it is installed but may not be started, so systemctl and start httpd, or first you can check the status. So for me, it is active and running. For you, in the beginning, it will not be active and running, so you can start it. Using the same command, you just have to write start, and it will start the HTTPD server for you. Okay, so the web server is running. The FileBeat package is installed. We have placed the keys, the username and the password for the ELK there in the FileBeat. So the scenario is working like this, that you have to understand the scenario. The scenario is that you have ELK, which is going to get logs from your web server and is going to display them on the dashboard. So the whole idea of the ELK is that it basically picks up the logs from different sources and then display them. So in this particular lab, you're trying to get the logs from the web server. Now the web server is important because there are lots of attacks that are going on the web server. Sometimes there are the web server is having some errors that might be displayed on the dashboard. So it's much more easier for you to see them on the same platform rather than going through the Apache logs itself, which is quite hectic. All right, so far so good, guys. Just write in the chat window that it's okay. Yeah, okay, good. So once you're done with this and your Apache is running, let's see what is the next step. So what you're trying to do here is that you are going to echo a small message called this is my group name. You can write your group name here, and basically you are going to echo it in the index.html file. Well, I had a problem that I was not able to access this index.html file. It kept giving me errors that there's no such file, although the file does exist here. So I'm just going to go through the cd/var/www/html. Now, if you see here that the HTML index.html file is already there, right? So if you get the same error like I was getting, I don't know why I was getting this error. There's no problem in this command. It's perfectly fine. However, if you still get this error that you cannot write something by using echo, I suggest that you can open the nano editor again and then go to the index.html file. And all you can do is just, write your group page or group name here. And so like this is my test page, and I will just write Asad here, for example, for now. And that's it. So it's not like a compulsory thing to do or like a compulsory part, because it will anyways work because the HTTP server is already running. But still, just to make sure that you guys have done this step, you can do this. Okay, so Control X exit, save yes Y, enter, and done. Okay, you can start the HTTP server. For me, again, I think it's already started. I will just start it once again. System CTL restart. HTTPD. So it has started now. I will just check the status once again to make sure it's running. Okay, so it's active and running. Everything is okay. All right, so these steps are all done. Need to configure the, okay, so one more step that you have to do is you need to go and modify the apache.yml file in this directory. All right, so you need to enable this so that, it gives access to the ELK to get logs from through FileBeat. Okay, so going to this path, oops, too many files. Okay, no worries. What is the file name? Apache.yml. FileBeat.yml. Okay, let me see. I'll copy that whole path. So nano. Okay, so as you can see here, there are two modifications you need to do in this file. So access enabled true. By default, it is false. So you can change it to true. And it will also send the error logs to the ELK. So it is false by default. If you don't want the error logs to go, you can leave it to false. But for this particular lab, you can enable it to true. Okay, so these are the only two modifications you have to do in this. And then press Control Exit because I didn't make any changes, so it didn't give me any message to save the file. All right, so I think we are done almost with all the steps. So all you need to do is to set up the FileBeat. I have already done that. So the command to set up the FileBeat is, it takes a little bit of time. So sudo FileBeat setup, and then you have to start the service. I've already done the setup, but let me see if I do it again, what will happen. I hope I don't run into errors, but let's see. So like I said, it might take maybe a minute or two. By the way, I mean, I am recording it, but all these steps are actually available also in the video link that is given here in the top. Okay, so if you want to follow the steps, you can also visit this URL. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have finished, but let's just say that some of you have finished. I want to give them an extra lab to do. Now you guys remember that I went through the red line tool for forensic analysis. Anybody remembers red line?
Red line? I'm not sure.
I did a lab on red line for forensic investigation. So
Yeah, in the last week.
I don't know which week was it, but you will have the red line tool on your systems. I'm sure about that. Okay, let's wait for a minute. Now, what is happening here is that, we have set up, we have completed the setup of FileBeat. Now we just need to start the service. So sorry. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you that my web server is running or not. So the public IP that you have, you can use that to check or test your web server. So my IP is 44.212.59.91. So you can see this is a test page. So the web server is running, which is a good sign. So next step is that you start the file beat. It's like a heartbeat. Okay. By the way, heartbeat terminology is used in security. What is heartbeat? It's not exactly security, but it is used in the networks. Anybody knows what is heartbeat? Okay, anyways, so you can see that the service has started now, okay? And then you're all set. Basically, you just need to go to the ELK desktop, and then you will get something like this on your desktop where it basically shows you that it is getting the logs from various sources. Let me see if I can go to the dashboard. That's not the URL. Oh. Okay, so there are plenty of screenshots which basically tell you. By the way, guys, I'm not an expert of ELK, okay? So please don't mind that. I like more alien word than ELK. So this is basically, you can see the file beat Apache access, and you can refresh. Now the rest of the steps, you just need to explore the dashboard. Try to see if you can find out the logs that your web server is pushing. That will be excellent. That will be the end of your lab. So you can see here, there are different kinds of logs that it is receiving. Now, I want you guys to also go through, like, what is this 200 status code? Now, HTTP, when you access the web server, if everything goes well and you can access the website, the status code for HTTP is 200. If there are any problems, anything going on, you will see, I mean, there are different status codes actually. So there is 200, there is 404, there is 403. Like what happened today with me was, like, I was trying to access my web server and it was giving me the error called forbidden. So when I was getting this error forbidden, I went on and looked for the status code. So I said, okay, what is the status code for forbidden? So I was getting this problem, and the status code for forbidden is 403. When I looked into the 403, because I was not able to access the web page, when I looked into the 403, I found out that this is a client-side problem, which basically meant was, like, there is some problem with my index.html file, that there were some permission issues with the file. So I went on and changed the permissions of the file, and then I was able to access. So you need to get yourself familiar with these status codes as well, at least some of them, that you can see it on the dashboard now. Okay, guys, so I think this is it for this particular lab demo. You can explore the dashboard on your own, see what kind of information you get there, the IPs, the error codes, or, you know, you won't get too much logs from this web server. Nobody is attacking it, so it's probably going to be 200 okay. Might be 404, might be 403, some other error codes you might be seeing it on the dashboard. So in that case, just write a couple of things about what do you see on the dashboard, what does it mean? Okay, do you have any questions, please?
Mr. Assad,
Yes.
I have a question about the groups. Can our group be like 8 people?
Why 8?
Because one of my friends doesn't have a group.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we have extra students, so, okay, that's fine. You can make it, but just write in the Excel sheet because I want to finalize these groups. So for later, I mean, whenever we create the breakout rooms, I will create with these names and you should know your group name. You only go to your room, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, guys, now for those who have done this lab, let's just assume that you have completed this lab and your group is done. So what I have for you today is you have worked with the red line tool, and I will just open it for you guys just to refresh your memories if you forgot that what is red line. This was red line. We used it for the forensic analysis. I think you ran it on the Windows machine and then it collected some logs from there. And then you probably did some analysis here, right? Okay. What you have to do today is that I'm going to give you a memory image already. It's called Crydex. So Crydex is a malware. So I have the
Okay, Mr. Assad.
Yeah.
This is another lab, right?
Yeah, this is
It's
optional
related
lab.
from the previous lab.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the previous lab. This one, you will submit it on the Google Drive. I will share you the link where you need to submit. This is optional. Okay. So
Okay, the previous lab is the required and the second is the optional.
Yes, the previous one is
Okay.
required that needs to be uploaded on the platform in the SEAM link where you have the SEAM. And this lab, you will not submit it on the platform. I will give you the link of submission in the chat box or in the Discord. So you will.
Okay. So can you please, after you end this explanation of the optional lab, can you please, in the same time after it, fastly upload it in the YouTube because it have a long of instruction. So I'm not believe that I can track it without the video.
You mean you want me to upload my? I will stop the recording now. Okay, let's just stop it here.
Okay. I think you need to leave the